The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at gruns.co. That's code podcast at gruns.co.
Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to Dawn of Sports. We have a really fun show for you this week. We're going to introduce you to Taylor Cashman. She's the Senior Manager of Hockey Administration for the Minnesota Wild. They've been so fun to watch lately. We're going to get to know Taylor a little bit and talk some hockey. That's coming up.
That's right. This is Dawn of Sports. She's Dawn Mitchell from Fox 9. You should know her by now. And we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio. Best way to listen to this show or any of our many great shows at talknorth.com. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. You know the lineup. Everybody from Mark Rosen to Michael Russo to John Krasinski to Dawn Mitchell to Randy Shaver. I could list everybody, but it would take too long. So you get the idea. Check out talknorth.com to check out all the shows. And we also want to thank our other sponsors, Lexus of Wayzata and Maplewood and Minnesota Masonic Charities. Back to Dawn.
Oh, Jim, you said you should know me by now. Now that reminds me of an old song that my parents used to listen to. So now I have an earworm, right? If you don't know me by now. Isn't that an old song?
That's a great song.
See, it's a great song. You're setting it off on the right foot.
That is a great song, yes.
I don't even know who sings it, but
I'll look it up.
My parents
I know the song. I don't know the artist. I'll let you know at the end of the show.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe by then we'll have you sing it because Taylor may not know it, but Jim is a musician. He can sing and play, but we're talking about you today. So we're welcoming to the show Taylor Cashman, works for the Wild, promoted not too long ago up the chain because she's so awesome, Senior Manager of Hockey Administration, which means she works a lot with Billy Guerin, the players, and everything to do with travel and getting into all of the specifics, which is so hard to do for an NHL team. Taylor, thank you for taking time out of your busy day. We know we're in season, but thanks for joining us today. How are you?
Good. How are you guys? Thanks so much for having me.
Doing great. I'm doing great. Jimmy, doing all right?
I'm all right.
All right. Alex, you doing okay? The band's all here today.
Alex is always good.
Yeah, Alex is always good. Producer Alex keeps us running like a well-oiled machine. Well, Taylor, first of all, congratulations on your promotion. I know you're in your 6th season now with the Wild. It must seem like it's flown by for you. Has it? Or does it feel like you've been there more?
Honestly, depends on the day. But yeah, it really has flown by. I was someone who just graduated college, kind of landed on my feet in this business. And yeah, 6 years has gone by. It's crazy. I've got to do a lot of really cool things, be a part of a really cool group of people, business and operation side. So yes, goes very fast.
One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show is I love talking to people that are not out of school for a super long time. Like when you hit the job market, it was really hard. It's so competitive now, not only as a woman to get into sports, but I mean, just to get into any kind of sports related field at all. So I know that you had other jobs when you first got out of school, but when you first decided, I think I want to go into working for the events and all that stuff. You worked for Minnesota Sports and Entertainment on the River Center side at first. How did you dip your toe in, or what made you say, I want to go the sports route?
Yeah, so probably a long story long. I'm the only child, first generation college kid. I went into college at the University of Minnesota with my blinders on, if I'm honest. Wanted to go into medical school, sports medicine specifically, having played hockey, soccer, pretty competitively growing up. And so I went into college. That's what I was going to do. No one was going to change my mind. I didn't have any older siblings or parents that had gone to college to say like, hey, you should probably just keep your options open and see what else is out there. So it was my junior year at the U, and I was like, I don't even like these classes that I'm taking. But it's a little too late now to do anything about it unless I wanted to be a super, super senior and change my major. So I just kind of got by academically. I mean, I still did well in classes and did what I needed to do, but instead of following that pretty gruesome medical track of research scribing, I changed my views to do something else on the side outside of school. And that's when I really got interested in events. I was my social chair for my sorority and planned all of our internal and external events. And then I had a internship with Twin Cities in Motion in their corporate partnerships department. And that was honestly the role specifically that got me to where I am today. My main role of that internship was to manage the health and fitness expo that takes place at, to this day, the St. Paul River Center. And so I've grown up in St. Paul, saw St. Paul my whole life, and obviously know about the arena, the convention center, and I've been there, but had never really worked an event in that space. And so I just thought it was super cool. My internship was unfortunately ending. They kept me on while I was job searching, and I saw a role with St. Paul River Center open up, and I was like, oh my gosh, that would be so cool. I got to meet some of the event managers while I was the client at the time hosting the event, and I applied. And yeah, 6 years later, I made an internal switch to the wild side of the business, and yeah, haven't looked back.
And it's the wild side of the business in more ways than one, right? Because it is a whole different world once you step into the NHL. So what has been the most fun thing for you now that you're with the Wild? And how has that been eye-opening for you?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I played hockey and I'm from here. So growing up watching the Wild and seeing some of the players that are now on the staff side or players that are still veterans with us or newly retired, it's been pretty surreal now working in the space with them in and out every day. It sometimes is a pinch me moment that I grew up going to games with my dad and watching on TV, and now being in this space. I don't play, unfortunately, anymore. I would love to, but the stinky gear and late ice times is not really up my alley at the moment. So to still be involved in the hockey space has been really cool.
What was your position when you played? You played South St. Paul, right? What was your position, and what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I was a center. Go Packers. Lakota Arena. Really good memories there. Now Doug Woog Arena. It was playing for South St. Paul was so much fun. I still talk with a handful of the coaches, Palmquist specifically. His daughter's a year older than me. It's really a community feel. I know everyone says it's a big town in the fact that there's 20,000 people, but I've never felt more small town coming from there because I graduated with 150, and the teachers from 7th grade till 12th grade and the different sports programs. So it was a great place to grow up and play sports.
And so now you work every day with whether it's Wild players or their families or Billy Guerin. So I have to disclose this. All the guys are going to roll their eyes right now. I'm a Boston College grad, just like Billy is. So go Eagles. I'm sorry, Gophers. I'm sorry. But that must be a trip to work with him every day.
Yeah, he's great. When I was interviewing for this job, I remember people were like, he's just another guy. He's just another person. And I grew up, my dad always taught me whether it's someone superior, an athlete, celebrity, they all everyone puts their pants on the same way. And so I kind of just have had that mentality starting this role and now of just Billy, the players, everyone, they're just normal people. And I feel like we're a family here. I know their kids, the spouses. We've had holidays together. It is business, but he's like a dad to me. Wants what's best for me, just like I want what's best for him. And yeah, it's been great.
So let me ask you this. As a young woman who grew up in Minnesota, you're dealing with East Coast now. Like, first of all, he's got the little bit of the accent. What have you had an East Coast moment? Like, what does that mean? Or wow, like we're a little more direct. I think living in the Midwest now for so long for me has made me a kinder, gentler, nicer person. Not that they're mean, but we just say what's on our minds back east. How was that transition getting to know him?
Honestly, my friends joke, my family jokes, and even people that I work with now, yes, was born and raised in Minnesota, but I sometimes feel as if I should have been born and raised on the East Coast. I have no problem saying what's on my mind and being blunt, and especially being the only female in the room, you kind of have to speak up when things need to be said. And I personally have had no issues. There's no words specifically or different things that have come up where I'm like, oh, I don't understand what that is. If anything, our Iowa coach, Greg Cronin, he has the thickest accent I've ever heard, and I just have to kind of stare at him when he talks because I don't know what he's saying.
Well, years ago, John Torchetti kind of filled in when Mike Yeo got fired, and he came in, and John Torchetti is from Marshfield, Massachusetts, which is the South Shore, Massachusetts. So it's the next town over from one of the towns I grew up in. I grew up in Duxbury and then Whitman. So it's South Shore. And so Michael Russo, who writes for The Athletic, said, most of us in the room did not understand a word you two were saying to each other after the first hello. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He said it was first hello, and then it was like golden retrievers recognizing your own breed. Like, we didn't know what you were saying. Next thing you know, you're high-fiving him. He's like hugging you. He said something about Wega. And I go, no, he said Marsh Vegas. So it's kind of like, yes, they speak fast, you talk fast. But since you are a woman who has no problem standing up for herself, and you have to be strong, you have to be confident, but you also just kind of have to just be yourself. And are you just so happy that you can mix everything that you are and then find a place in this environment? How has that been for you?
Yeah, I feel as if I've had some of these personality traits growing up through college, and it's just really allowed me to kind of show those different personality traits in terms of I can get along with everyone, I can read the room. I always joke that people think women are emotional, but I mean, being the only women in a room full of grown men, especially like if we're not playing well, like you have to be able to read the room because there's a lot of emotions. And I think people that can't read the room, they don't always leave successful. And so I think just having that innate ability to see what people need, whether it's to just leave, to be helpful, just kind of know my place. I felt very comfortable from the get-go, and I've just grown in that over these last few seasons.
Okay, for people who are listening and they're like, what does the senior manager of hockey administration, what do they do? And I know that you kind of do a little bit of everything, right? Coordinating the events, the meetings, you have to deal with the players, sometimes even immigration requirements for some of the foreign players, all their travel stuff. So if we took like tomorrow, what does a typical Wednesday look like for you? Or what does a general day look like? How would you break that down to someone when they say, well, what do you do on a daily basis? That's a lot.
Yeah. I feel like I go into this twilight zone of trying to just explain everything, and some people stay with me, some people don't, but it really does depend on the day. When I first was approached for this job, I had no idea this job even existed, and it's crazy. Now, 6 years later, I don't know. I can't see myself doing anything else some days, but it really has. I've been fortunate enough to seek out my own opportunities in this role, to gain more, to do more responsibilities, but I've also been given more responsibilities as I've proven myself, show that I can handle XYZ different things. And so if you were to ask me 6 seasons ago what my job was, it probably would be what I'm going to say, plus a bunch of other things. But going just kind of more on an admin basis, I do all of our contact keeping. So player families, coaches, scouts, kind of spreadsheets of where everyone is from, sending out flowers if someone has a baby, if someone passes, doing the immigration for the players and tracking that. I work with our legal team on that, but working with management to get contracts for players and staff and seeing where they're from and when they're going to be traveling to get their visas set up in an order so that they can get here in a timely fashion. I help all of our scouting efforts for the development camp, the draft, rookie tournament, kind of managing the ins and outs of players coming in, staff coming in. We have offsite scouting meetings every January, which is super fun. And that in the draft is usually when I get to see our scouts who I deal with quite often, but don't get to see always. I do a lot of ins and outs for Billy and the front office group here and our coaching staff. On game nights, we have a family room for our staff family and player family. I manage that. And then our tickets for player and staff requests, any jerseys that come in. I'm probably forgetting stuff, but a lot of different things. But that's what keeps it fun and interesting as well.
You're the one that keeps the team together, basically. If you're not there, someone's yelling, "Where's Taylor? Where's Taylor?"
It's a group effort for sure.
Great to have Taylor on the show. Taylor, thank you for joining us. Let's take care of the business. We are coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio. We'd like to thank Lexus of Wayzata and Maplewood. We'd also like to thank Minnesota Masonic Charities.
Today, I want to talk a little bit about the Minnesota Masonic Charities. When you think about the Masons, I get it. You think about the funny hats, those pancake breakfasts, which are phenomenal. My dear friend John Schweitz and I have chatted about this, and it's so much more than that. They've got the Masonic home over in Bloomington. They've got the hospital for the children over at the U of M. They are the largest fraternal organization in terms of charitable needs in our country, and they deserve a ton of recognition. So thank you, Minnesota Masonic Charities, for all you do and for supporting us over here at Talk North, and a special thanks to my good friend, John Schweitz.
And now back to Taylor and Dawn.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Well, Taylor, let's back up a little bit. So if you didn't have any siblings, did your parents play hockey? What made you, when you were young, decide, I want to play this sport? I know it's Minnesota. I know that's kind of a given. It's a birthright. But, sometimes when you don't have, other siblings to just kind of follow in their footsteps or even like take their equipment, how did it start for you?
So my dad, I know you're not from here, but people from Minnesota will probably know where Johnson High School is, east side of St. Paul. At one point was a powerhouse. I don't even think they have a hockey team anymore, unfortunately, but my dad grew up playing hockey and football, and so he was the one that got me on skates. His friends, I would go play knee hockey with their boys. I feel like I've always just kind of been one of the boys. But I've always played soccer, and then I danced when I was younger. And the thought of hockey came up, and I was like, yeah, I want to play. My dad said, it's got to choose. You can't do them all, which at the time, I'm sure it was a tantrum. But now seeing people that juggle multiple kids and multiple sports, I totally get it. So I hung up the dancing shoes and decided to play hockey. And my dad took me to play it against sports. It was no new equipment. It was sweatpants over shin pads. And I was so embarrassed and so mad because I just thought everyone around me was going to be in this new gear. And there definitely were kids that were fortunate enough to have the new of everything, but I'm so grateful that he and my mom allowed me to play and brought me to all the practices, tournaments, games, getting new gear, skate sharpen. Like it's a whole job in itself, and there was just me. So some of my absolute favorite memories are from playing hockey.
Oh, that's awesome. Also played soccer and I also danced. So I know when all those seasons kind of collide, injuries mount on one thing and one is fighting the other, but it makes your life so much richer. My first pair of skates were hand-me-down boys figure skates. So they weren't even hockey
Oh.
skates. They were boys black figure skates. And I would skate on the ponds of Massachusetts, but never played actually officially on a hockey team. But it I loved it from ever since I was young. I was a don't tell anyone a Bruins fan growing up, but loved hockey. Just loved the just kind of the atmosphere and how people treat each other, and you see that in every way, shape, or form. Whether it's when you're little and your dad is teaching you, like just the community of hockey is such a unique one. And I think it's great too that now you're in this community that you grew up loving hockey, you playing it. And so your dad and your parents must be so proud of you right now, saying, like, we remember when this whole thing started. What do they say to you now?
Yeah, it's my dad has those memories quite often. We actually, with it being our 25th anniversary season, I've been helping with some of the alumni anniversary games, and I have one of our last games, the 28th, we had a handful of players in who I grew up watching, and I got a picture with them just because I was working on their travel and their game night experience. So I got to know them over the course of a few days, and yeah, I showed my dad, and I've been trying to find the photo I have with them from when I was younger at the state fair playing in
Oh, that's
like
awesome.
roller rink. I think it was with Pierre-Marc Bouchard. I have a Rolston jersey, and yeah, so I took a picture with them and didn't spare them the details of being a young fan, but it's good memories to share with my dad. It's something, yeah, we love to talk about.
Who was one of your favorites growing up then? That, you don't really get starstruck when you're in the business and you're working it, but you remember when you were younger, like, that was my favorite. Who was that?
Oh, honestly, Brian Rolston was one of my favorite players. I don't want to say I don't know why, but I loved how he played, and yeah, have a jersey. I liked Brent Burns, which is weird because he's still in the league, and I don't want to say I don't care now, but I could walk by a hockey player or athlete, and it's just the day to day now. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's fun to see guys come back, whether they're alumni or veterans still playing.
What would you say to young women specifically, but there's also so many young men that are in colleges that they don't know where to start. They don't know what to do. What do you think has been like the most advantageous, maybe personality component that you possess, or maybe it's just hardworking, like to make sure that if this is what they want to do, if they want to get into working in the NHL in some capacity, that this is what they need to have. This is, what they need to do to get there.
Yeah, I think there's a range of things. I think some people get into sports thinking it's going to be all glamour all the time, but in reality, hockey specifically is a super long season, and if you're in Minnesota, it's cold. It's long days. If a team isn't playing well, I mean, I'm not on the business side, but our ticket team does such a good job of like filling seats. It can be a real grind, and you lose people that way. But the people that stay, to me, it shows that they want to be there, which is great. People that have asked me about my role specifically, I don't have a good answer other than it really did just fall into my lap, and I'm so grateful that it did. But being on the operation side of things, oftentimes there's not a clear path to get there. From what I've seen in my own journey, is sometimes you need to start somewhere else, and that door will open to another door that might lead to another door. So just I've always told people that reach out to not get discouraged if you don't get that job in sports that you're looking for, but to just get your foot in the door somehow, and you might end up exactly where you want to be. But it does take time. I mean, a lot of the guys that I work with in the front office, our AGMs or whatever title you want to call some of our higher ups, they've put in years, 15 years in different roles to get where they are now. Like it's not a shoe-in. So I would just say to people to stay vigilant and on top of things and hardworking, and never be afraid to introduce yourself to someone, because you never know if that person can help open a door for you down the road.
Well, and especially so I love when you said that sometimes it's just one door that leads to another door. But if you put yourself kind of in an area of doors that you like,
Exactly.
like you said, you're first, like this, sports and entertainment on the River Center side. You put yourself in that environment and you allowed yourself to learn and be a sponge. And then that's when you meet people. I always say, I didn't know when I first graduated college, I had no idea. My first job in TV was behind the scenes in a sports department. I didn't know what a producer was, like you grew up watching movies saying, what does a producer do? Well, what a producer does in movies is totally different than what they do in television. And you just learn. And I'm like, wow, you can get paid for doing this? Like, I can watch games and pick highlights? What? And write? I remember just being like, wow, a whole world opens up to you. But you have to put yourself in that environment, and you have to be willing, like you said, to work hard, to speak up, to ask questions. And have you noticed that things have been, I know it's hard to be one of the only women in the area, but that you're listened to, like if you speak up and you work hard and you know what you're doing, like your voice matters. Have you felt that?
Yeah, I have. I like I said earlier, I feel knowing a time and place is really important. If I march into an office after we just lost and I'm like, we should do this, probably not the best time. But I am really grateful for the group around me that they've always given me every opportunity that I've asked for, or try to bring me around to get experience in other things. For example, my role doesn't typically travel, but I have been allowed to travel to kind of see what life is like on the road and be a helping hand when needed. And that's really special. And I'm grateful every day for these opportunities that they give to me, but also I'm not waiting for them to just hand stuff to me. And that's Billy's message to the players every year is don't wait for us to call your name. Like, you have to earn it. And so I think that relates in the staffing side too, is if you want an opportunity, ask for it and take it. Don't just expect someone to hand it to you, because there's 1,000 people that want all of our jobs all the time. Same with the players. That's why there's the minor leagues. And so just going after every opportunity.
Well, that goes hand in hand with you being an athlete, right? I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why you like that. Like, okay, like I'm competitive. I enjoy, quote unquote, in air quotes, the game now that you're playing. But to know that if you're competitive and you want something, you have the permission and the opportunity to go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you could put your hat on years down the road, would you see yourself somewhere of maybe rising to being like an assistant GM or like a female GM of a sports team? Like, what? I know you're enjoying it now and you're kind of drinking through a fire hose with everything that you're doing. It sounds like everyone's yelling your name and you're just like, I'll be there in a minute. I'll be there in a minute. I'll be there in a minute. What would be your dream job in, like, say, if you had a crystal ball for the future?
I think
box.
I think about it some days, but I also try to just live in the current state that I'm in, just because I do really enjoy what I'm doing. I think if I were to evolve into another role, whether it's hockey, I love the golf industry because I love to play golf, skiing, what have you. What I've really found enjoyment in is the internal culture of the operations side, whether it's staff contracts, staff events, making sure like our staff is happy. And because at the end of the day, like if you have bad energy in the locker room, the training room, whatever sport, like that usually can emanate onto the players. And I'm really passionate about making sure the staff have a positive experience. And so I'll be super honest. All of our AGMs can tell you what every player on every team makes, what their stats are. That is of no interest to me, and I don't think I'd be good at it. But I do think I am good at the everything else part of the job when it comes to organizational management and making sure things run smoothly. So if there is something that opens up down the line, again, I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I can continue being a sponge, but I can see myself really enjoying a role like that and being good at it.
What would your parting words be for anyone that says, wow, I want to work in the NHL? What would you say like is the number one thing that you love besides like the people and all of that?
I love that I get to do so many things behind closed doors so that people on the ice and off the ice for staff don't have to worry about anything else. They can just focus on their job, which is to win hockey games. And that is super fulfilling. And just, to keep working hard and don't let someone say no to an opportunity that you want to go after. It might not be no, or it might not be yes right now, but it doesn't mean it's going to be yes forever. And so just keep surrounding yourself around those doors, as we've mentioned, because one might just open in due time.
Well, Taylor, what I love, and I can see why the players and their families love you, is you do pick your times, like you'll speak your mind, but you do read the room. You become part of their family too, right? Because if you're helping some of these foreign players move here and you're dealing with families and stuff, you get to see these guys, not just as the players, but as husbands and dads and guys that are friends. That's kind of a cool observation area for you to be in.
Yeah, one of my honestly favorite parts of the job is having worked the draft the last few years. I'm the main contact for all the planning and get to meet the guys drafted. And unfortunately, it was remote last year. But I mean, I was there when Liam Olgren was drafted, Danila Yurov, Ziv Buyam, some of these guys that I've now got to see kind of grow into young adults. And it's super rewarding. And I feel like a mom to some of them, a sister to some of them, but they're all like my brothers, dads, uncles, whatever you want to call them. But there isn't anything I wouldn't do for them, and I'd like to think the feeling's mutual. It's a good group to be working with.
Well, I can tell you, my friend Dave Schwartz was raving about you. I could not wait to meet you. It's high praise coming from someone who can navigate that room. And trust me, I know how hard it can be, but I also know how fulfilling it can be. So hats off to you. And I wish you continued success. And I think the Wild are just going to continue to be fun to watch, to play this year. So I'm wishing you the best of luck. Thank you for joining us and telling us everything about what you do. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Absolutely. It was great chatting with you, and I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Well, thanks. We'll go wild, right?
Yes,
I can say
go
that.
wild.